Yeah, this is just a quick follow-up on my other video. It was pretty long, but I failed to mention that, once you have your 200 amp service, right, which is Article 200, 230, right, look at 230 for services, then you want to go right to the very next article, okay, which is 240, talks about an overcurrent protection. Well, why am I bringing this up? Because we have a 200 amp main breaker, right? Now we need to protect our main breaker, right? So we're talking about a protection in Article 250, which is our grounding, right? I used to teach electrical engineering, so if you ever want to talk about grounding and the purpose of the grounding electrode, we can have a long discussion, and I can really give you an understanding and idea exactly what happens and the importance of grounding in the circuit. But anyway, we got a 200 amp breaker. So if we go to Article 250.66 or either .112, okay, it talks about a service 200 amp breaker, and it's going to go back to number 4, grounding copper. That's what I'm going to use. Now you can use aluminum, right? And I believe it's going to be probably a number 2 or maybe be a number 1 aluminum if you're going to use that as a grounding electrode. But here we're going to just use copper. So I know I'm going to have number 4 copper, right? And here I'm going to bring my 2 points of grounding, okay? One from the water, okay? And one from a ground rod electrode. A ground rod, okay? So, yeah, ground rod electrode. So, which is here, existing, okay? So I don't have to install that. And this may be number 4 already. I'm gonna check that, but anyway, I do have number 4 that I'm gonna run. So I'm gonna run it there, and here we're gonna need a supplemental ground or auxiliary ground. Okay, so I'm gonna use the water, because the reason why I'm using water, it's metal piping and it's built into the foundation. So I find where a copper water line is, basically at the point of entry in the house, because I know everything is PEX now. But most likely, as soon as it enters the house, it's metal, where that shutoff is. And we're going to use, run copper. Yeah, I tripped. But copper, number 4 bare, from that water shutoff over to the new service, which is going to be outside. Okay, so okay, now if this was my service without the disconnect, then I'll be running my number 4's 200 amp to the panel, which is be inside the house. Okay, so technically when you're running number 4, if you look at the note in the table that I described in either 250.66 or 250.112, okay, so one of the other tables is just going to basically talk about the size of grounding electrode, or the grounding conductor that you run with your circuitry. Okay, so that's 2 different deals. We're grounding the service, not grounding not running a grounding conductor with our electrical circuit. That's, I think, 250.66. It talks about if you're running like a 25 amp circuit or a 20 amp circuit, then you need at least a 14 gauge wire ground. That's why, hence the fact that bare size wire in Romex comes number 14. If you're running a 12 conductor, same deal, number 14. But I think if you're running a 10, then the 12 conductor, the grounding conductor is going to be number 12. But I believe that's Article 250.66 or 250.112. So either way, I'm saying those 2 tables, that's what they do. Okay. Anyway, that's what I wanted to point to. So just how we kind of laid that out, right? We talked about Article 230, okay? Our service, bringing electrical from the utility to the house, okay? Then we need to protect that. First we need a breaker, right? So if this is a 100 amp service, it would be number 8 bare that we would need, okay? Now, if you use another, like you can use a stranded conductor or something like that, or smaller size, but you got to put it in conduit. I believe if it's not bare, number 8 or something like that. I know it's a note on there, but anyway, yeah. So, and then the very next article, right? So look how we did this. We came here, right? Article 230, metering and everything for our riser. In 240, we need to install, okay, the electrical service conductors to a main breaker, right? That's Article 240. And then we need to protect that electrical service. So Article 250, right? And then check this out. Very next chapter, right? Well, 272 talks about surge arresters and things like that, but we're protecting the voltages on that electrical system. Just stay with me. Then we go to Article 300, right? Then we talk about what? The wire materials that we use. If you look somewhere down the line, PVC conductor is going to be talking about, in Chapter 3. But before that, we talk about Article 300, talk about conductors, because after, we install this equipment, then what are we doing? We're putting the wire, okay, inside we're going to start messing with these wire terminals, okay, or wiring terminals and things like that, okay, but we need to know exactly how to identify the conductors and things like that, okay. So that's Article 300. As far as ampacity, I'm trying to get out, right? Article 300 talks about, I believe, let me see, 300.10 talks about the conductor ampacity. 300 talks about the burial depth, but I know something talks about the conductor, so I don't have the book in front of me, okay? But anyway, 310 talks about the conductor ampacity, right? Special situation that we're using it, thickness, but okay, ambient temperature, how many conductors in a more than 3 current carriages, kind of conductor, table 310.15b3, okay? But anyway, we talk about that, right? So if you want more tutelage on the code book, feel free to hit me up, because I have my master's. I've been studying for over 20 years. Okay, I used to be a KCMO codes inspector, okay, a construction codes inspector, not just electrical. So from the ground up, building electrical or building houses, have a computer electronics degree, so I understand low voltage systems and how they kind of intertwine, and how it's just a beautiful thing once you understand it. And able to help you understand the electrical field. Hope you train for your masters or your journeymans, or if you just want to become better in the field with tips and techniques. I've done been to Walmart's, Targets, Home Depots, doing projects, overnights, new construction, rehab, city of Chicago, born and raised from, to Wichita, Kansas, to Iowa, Nebraska. Just been blessed to been everywhere in the electrical field. But anyway, if you got any questions, just hit me up. Thanks.